The US election is getting serious. And with each party in the process of choosing their nominees, the heat is really on. Amongst all the polling, town halls and campaigning, the focus is well and truly on Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Polling indicates a tougher run for Joe Biden than Donald Trump, with the president struggling to maintain popularity in light of his cognitive and age-related issues. Sky News All Stars Joe Siracusa, James Macpherson and Piers take a look at the current state of play in this crucial time of the US election. Polling is part and parcel of an election campaign, particularly in an election year. This time around, the polls have been much kinder to Donald Trump than Joe Biden, with Sky News All-Star Joe Siracusa saying Joe Biden is in terrible shape.
He's beginning to stitch up his right to run for presidency. Joe Biden's in terrible shape. He only has a 33% approval rating, which is 66% don't approve of him, 78% don't want him to see him go. So that may change. There may be a lot of drama on the other side. But in the meantime, this is the first important primary, and it sets the tone for all the rest.
This is confirmed by other polls indicating most American voters don't believe Biden has the mental sharpness required to be president.
You have the question of the president's age. I mean, it's just there in poll after poll, not just ours. Our poll, in fact, said 28%, just 28% think that President Biden has the mental sharpness to effectively serve for another term.
Sky News All-Star James Macpherson agrees, saying Biden is playing a dangerous game by playing into identity politics and demonizing white Americans.
That's what that's being applied to. Biden is demonizing white Americans while importing millions of people across the Mexican border. It's a very dangerous game that they're playing. And to go into a black church and say white people are the enemy, and the lack of self-awareness, himself being a white man. I mean,
we're terrible. I hate us.
Well,
it's like, well, why should I vote for you then, pal? You're the wrong colour.
But Young Turks founder and host Cenk Uygur told Sky News All-Star Piers age is not Biden's only issue.
How much of Biden's unpopularity is specific to his age? In other words, if it was Gavin Newsom, who was currently the incumbent president, with the record that Biden has had in the last 3 years, would he be polling much higher?
So, yes and no. A lot has to do with his age. 77% of Americans have said that they are concerned that he will not be healthy enough to finish a second term. But that is not the only issue. So in office, how is he done? You know, people say, oh my God, he did more than a normal Democratic president. That is a very low bar. Democratic presidents barely try. So did he do most of his agenda? No. 85% of his agenda is dead, and there's no dispute over that.
Despite all of the naysayers, Jill Biden is standing by her husband and flipping the script on the narrative about his age.
So to those who say I can't vote for Joe Biden, he's too old, what do you say?
I say his age is an asset.
Aha! He's wise.
Yes, he's wise. He has wisdom. He has experience. He knows every leader on the world stage. He's lived history. He knows history.
And with Donald Trump's clear dominance, the Democrats seem to be getting desperate, throwing everything they can to destabilize the Trump campaign, according to political strategist Jason Meister.
Right now, that Joe Biden's White House is coordinating, orchestrating, and directing the political persecution of his top political rival, Donald J. Trump, who right now, by the way, is beating him in every single poll, in every single swing state. Meanwhile, because of Joe Biden's incredible weakness on the national stage, his disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, we are now in a war in Israel. We're in a war in Yemen. We're in a war in Ukraine. We have terrorist threats on U.S. soil by Hezbollah. We're in a proxy war in Russia, a proxy war in Iran. And we have a wide open southern border where nearly 9 million illegal immigrants have invaded the United States of America since he took office. So yeah, I think the American people are fed up with this traitor.
Meister also says the past term of Joe Biden has made voters much more politically engaged than usual, which was reflected in the Iowa caucus and will indeed be reflected in the 2024 election.
Look, I think we have a very interested public right now. I think that people are engaged, given how far our country has fallen since Joe Biden took office. Look, you really have a very clean way of looking at this. You had 4 years under Donald Trump that you can compare now to the 4 years under Joe Biden. You have inflation at a 40-year high. You have a wide open southern border. You have tremendous homicides and crime in all the major Democrat-run cities in this country. So I think people are very engaged in the political process, and I think you're going to see that play out in the primaries.
Iger agrees, saying Joe Biden has no chance of becoming president, so he needs to be pushed out by up-and-coming Democrats like himself.
Let's come to the election. You're running for president. I mean, do you genuinely have any belief you could win? What is your real purpose for running?
Yeah, so I have 3 missions. So let me tell you the first one, which is Joe Biden's going to lose, and I need to push him out. He's at 33% right now. No one has ever recovered from being that low as an incumbent for any federal office, let alone president. He's down 14 points with independents. He's down 4 points with younger voters. He's down 5 points with Latinos. It is a disaster for Joe Biden. And right now, if we don't get him out, we are definitely going to lose to Donald Trump. He's losing every single swing state. We have to act now to get new candidates in, and that's mission number 1.
And as for the Trump campaign, Jason Meister says the candidate for the GOP was chosen long ago.
But I think that this primary really has been over for quite some time. I think Ron DeSantis has been very disappointing. His retail politics, as you see him going around Iowa, has been nearly pathetic. And I think that he just doesn't have it, what it takes. Nikki Haley clearly doesn't have what it takes. Chris Christie dropped out before we ever even got to the Iowa votes. I think he was only in there as a punching bag for Donald Trump. So I think this primary really is over. I think Donald Trump's going to soundly beat every one of these candidates. And I look forward to the general election.